So we are at the Paribu Cineverse here in Istanbul, Turkey. And we are about to watch the Barbie movie. We just bought the tickets. They cost 380 Turkish lira. And they gave us sunscreen.
Pink sunscreen, to be exact.
Pink sunscreen to market the Barbie movie. I'm not dying to see the Barbie movie, but I do want to keep up with the cultural zeitgeist and what people are talking about. And hey, why not? Just take my girl out and have a nice time. Are you excited?
Yes.
I guess I'll just walk around with this Barbie war paint. Review coming after this.
You can wash my hair, undress me everywhere.
Copyright strike. Looks like we have a malfunction, but let's go in.
Geldim. Şimdi marketlere giriyoruz.
Wow.
All dolled up, just playing chess.
So something very different about going to the movies in foreign countries. Often they have intermissions. In American movie theaters, the movie just run. You gotta pee in your seat. Where here, they give you like a 10-minute break to go buy some more food or smoke a cigarette. Something, I don't know. Another difference about coming to the movies here, they put salt on the popcorn, no butter. Movie time.
What if this doesn't work?
Finished watching the Barbie movie. As a man, I have nothing to say.
Why?
This is your time to shine.
No.
I've learned this is a man's world and I need to cut off my penis and zip my fucking lips.
You are Ken. It's Ken. And it's Barbie.
But Barbie, spoiler alert, Barbie doesn't love Ken. So we just made it home after watching the Barbie movie. And I'll just say my just general opinion, because as a man, I shouldn't say anything.
No.
I should be ashamed of myself.
That's the point
right
of the
now.
movie.
I'm so ashamed.
Wow.
I give it generally out of enjoyment an 8.5. It was just very fun to look at. Music was good. Dancing was good. Story was just okay. Some parts were predictable, especially towards the end. American movies tend to just always have the good guys coming out on top and the bad guys getting what they deserve and everybody coming to some new resolution or epiphany. Overall, it had a great message. Margot Robbie did her thing. Ryan Gosling did his thing too, and all the supporting characters generally were good. Will Ferrell was funny. It's always good to see Will Ferrell. Love him as an actor. Issa did her thing too. Very good job, Issa, representing as the president. Overall, it was just entertaining.
My score is 7.5. I agree with like most of the things you said. I like the overall acting and the actors and the cast. I did think Ken was like, I like Ryan Gosling. I don't have anything against him, but I did like just get that idea that he was a bit old to play Ken, but then also let's not do ageism, I guess. I don't know. In general, I love Margot Robbie as well and all the other characters. For me, like you said, it was kind of predictable, and I know it's like that because of Barbie, but some parts felt superficial because in the end, Barbie was like not superficial. That was like her change, right?
Spoilers.
Some of the stuff kind of felt artificial, and maybe that was the point and maybe I didn't get it, but that's just how I felt. Also, as a woman, I feel like there were some cliches of, for example, one of the side characters that you'll see, there were some cliches that, you know, woman has to be weak but has to be strong. Woman has to be this and but also be this. Da, 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 da. Like, yes, I agree with those statements, and I know that they are like real and here in the patriarchal world, but it just felt like repeated to me, and that's why my score is 7.5. But overall, I was entertained.
Yeah, the movie definitely has a message. As a woman, do you feel like maybe their message that they're sending is a bit old? You know, the thing is, like, there's messages that people have been talking about forever, and they eventually end up in the mainstream. You feel like this was like the mainstreaming of a certain sort of feminism that people have been talking about for a while now?
I mean, that's what it felt like. Like I said, it felt repeated and overplayed at some parts. Not that it's not true. You know, maybe how you feel about certain black movies, let's say like slavery movies, maybe you feel like that's played out. Same way I kind of felt about Barbie. Not that it wasn't true or anything, but it just felt a little cliche.
I get what you're saying. Is there a different direction you think they should have took when it came to that sort of messaging about female empowerment and ending gender discrimination and that sort of thing?
No, I mean, the direction was like there, but after all, it's Barbie. Barbie's a classic. You can't really like play on it that much. So I kind of get it. I'm not a director, I'm not a writer, so I don't know that much about it, but some parts felt played out, but generally, like, I support the message that it was trying to give, of course. Some movies, when I think about them, I get chills because I feel that woman empowerment in different ways. Sometimes it doesn't even have to have those long speeches in the movie. It wasn't one of those movies, but it was more like in your face feminism, I guess. Not that that's wrong.
Yeah. As far as the messaging of the movie, I'm glad that media is putting out messages saying that we need to end sexism and gender discrimination. And even if people feel like this is like virtue signaling in media, or like people are just sending a message but it doesn't change anything, I do believe that media has the ability to change people's minds and change people's behavior and make the world a better place. Like, for example, if you watch a movie about animals being killed in a slaughterhouse, it might make you say, I want to become vegan or vegetarian or eat meat less, something like that. So I think media does have the power to change our minds, and it was good to see that. What do you think about that?
When we watch a movie, when we read a book, and any of that stuff that comes out from media, we kind of interpret it with our own personal life. And yeah, obviously some people can learn from that or take something from that. It's not going to be every person exposed to that media, but the least it can do is to make you think about it, make you talk about it with your friends over a cup of Starbucks. I don't know.
Yeah.
The movie like had more messages than only feminism, by the way.
It did talk
have,
about
different
capitalism and like shit like that.
philosophies and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
the ending is actually very philosophical. The video is titled Spoilers, so don't be mad about spoilers. But in the end, Barbie decides to become real because the creator of Barbie tells her that ideas live longer than people and you should cherish being an idea more than a person. But Barbie valued being the creator of ideas and contributing to the real world rather than just being an idea in itself. Because I think throughout the movie, she kind of saw like being an idea is problematic. Because as an idea, she was meant for something, but people interpreted her something else. And she sort of did more harm than good, if you really think about it. Because one of the other characters told her, like, Barbie, you make girls hate themselves, have anorexia, and weird perceptions of their body, and you're just basically a bimbo. So Barbie was like, I don't want to do that. I feel like that speech there really changed Barbie after that. Did you have a favorite part? My favorite part is the final dance scene with Ken versus Ken. The war scene on the beach was pretty funny.
Maybe this is cheesy, but my favorite part was when Barbie entered the real world and she was like kind of meditating at a bus stop, and she turned around to this old lady and told her, "You're beautiful," for no reason. And that was my favorite scene because I feel like we don't say that enough to ourselves or to each other as women. Especially we don't say that to old people.
Tell your grandma she's hot.
Wow.
Something I'm always jealous about is that people are so easy to talk about sexism, but if we made the same movie about racism, people would be absolutely furious or it would not be as popular. We can have movies all day where we point out blatant double standard Barbies in Barbie land and it's perfect, but then she comes to the real world and sees blatant patriarchy all around us. But if we had a movie where Aunt Jemima or Uncle Ben or any black character you can think of came to the real world and saw blatant racism and white supremacy right in front of us, people would be like, well, that's not really how the world is. Or, oh, I don't know what he's talking about. I'm just so jealous that women in general have it easier when it comes to talking about their issues. But when we talk about black issues, we can never have messaging out there like that because people just get so defensive about it.
Yeah, for some reason, it's easier for people to talk about sexism and gender roles and whatnot and feminism. Not that it's always easy, but, you know, it's generally easier than talking about race issues. I think in the end, they're kind of intertwined because feminism means all women. Ending white supremacy or ending racism means good for all humanity. It should be, you know, hand in hand.
Yeah, they should. One more thing I have to say about the movie. This is just one more thing. Ken went through this whole arc of not being wanted and feeling like crap, entering the real world and feeling like a man and powerful, and then bringing that reality back to his world. And that, of course, came crashing down at the end because Barbie reestablished brutal matriarchy on Ken and brought down slavery back on men in Barbie world, which was, I guess, what women want. Anyway, I'm joking. I'm being hyperbolic. But no, basically, Ken went through this whole arc, and the way they resolved Ken's villain arc was Barbie telling him, you need to realize who you are, Ken. And I feel like Ken is supposed to symbolize, male fragility and male patriarchy and the male psyche, right? But I don't feel like solving that issue of Ken's patriarchal run could be solved by just telling Ken, find out who you are. Because men, by and large, have been like the fathers of philosophy. We have been the ones who have been writing books about what it means to be alive. And we literally use the word man to describe humans in general. Man asks himself to be or not to be. One small step from man, one giant leap from mankind. We literally use the word man to describe human experience. So I don't think that Ken coming to this point of realizing who he is as a man as a way to solve his patriarchy is a way to deal with that issue, because men know who they are while they do patriarchy, right?
I mean, do you know who you are, really? Maybe that's the reason why patriarchy has been going on for so long, because you guys have been trying to figure out all on your own, when in reality we can't exist without each other.
Maybe that's a deeper topic. I think men would say that, yes, I know who I am while I am imposing religion on you or imposing social norms on you and gender roles on you. I know who I am. I am the powerful person. I am the one in charge. I am a full human who can deal with reason and logic, and I'm not overcome with emotions. And that's what men would say. Not saying that's what I believe, but I feel like that's what men would say to that question.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it's true. So it doesn't really look like you guys have an answer. Or maybe you're just fooling yourselves.
When we talk about why men nowadays, men like Ken, are turning to patriarchy as a solution to the problems men face today, you and I, and many men don't sit here and talk about who am I as a man in general. We are talking about what the world should be like because we know who we are. Men have a true nature, and there is a world that is changing against our nature, and we need to reinforce the traditional nature. When we're talking about these guys who are following Andrew Tate, the answer to all these problems is never just tell men who they are. I hope that makes sense, what I'm saying.
Yes, I get it, but I don't think the issue is discovering yourself as a man or discovering yourself as a woman. I think it's discovering yourself as a human being alone, as an individual alone. And I think that's what the Barbie was trying to say.
There's seeking self-realization as a goal in of itself, as something that we all want to achieve as people. But Ken had a specific problem. He was in love with Barbie. Barbie did not love him. And that was a problem that needed resolution. Either Barbie is going to love him and he is happy, or Barbie doesn't love him and he is going to have some issue. And the way they resolved the issue after Barbie did not love him was Barbie tell him, just go find out who you are, Ken. But Ken went to go find out who he was earlier and found out that he is a man and he needs patriarchy to enforce what he does, to get the girl he wants and to have the world that he wants, to feel validated. Do you get what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it obviously didn't work out, so that wasn't him to begin with.
He did find out he liked horses, so maybe that's the solution. He needs to just breed horses or be a horse rider.
Yeah.
I think all I'm saying is this. The Ken storyline in the movie symbolizes a lot of the issues I think that men are having today. A lot of men are becoming very patriarchal, very conservative, very right-wing, wanting to bring back tradition in relationships, because a lot of men are realizing a lot of women today are like Barbie. They don't need men, they want men. Women have more money and opportunity and autonomy. And the Kens of the world, whether they're Ryan Gosling or Alan, realize that women are going to choose them and be selective with them. And that's causing a lot of guys to go crazy. It kind of showed two different directions. Ken wanted to reinforce that world, but Alan didn't want to live in that world, if that makes sense. It does show a big problem in today's world, that men, when they can't get the women they want, or they don't know to act around the women that are in their lives, they become patriarchal and become tyrannical, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense.
It does, because in this world, even though a man has nothing, like literally nothing, no money, no, job, no education, whatever you can think of, he still has this inner power that is given to him by patriarchy, and he can still boss around a woman. He can still find a woman and still practice his patriarchal power. But if a woman has nothing, she can't practice anything else. Because if she practiced something, then there are labels that are put on her. There was no label put on a man who was practicing patriarchy until the last few years. And now we have words like mansplaining. So now we can expose y'all.
There was actually a funny line in the movie. In fact, probably the funniest line in the movie, I remember now, is the lowly worker in Mattel who was in the C-suite office, and Barbie burst into the room and said, "Where's the CEO? There must be a woman here." The guys say, "I'm the CEO, I'm the CFO, I'm the COO." And then the Mattel guy says, "Well, I'm a guy with no power. Does that make me a woman?" That was pretty funny when I think about it. And I think that talks a lot about what you said about power and how things are changing. The movie did show that there is a certain dynamic in how we live in our world now with power and men, because you said that a man right now, even if he has nothing, he can still sort of enforce his will, right?
Yeah.
But that was only done in a simpler world, in a simpler time. Ken, if you remember in the movie, he tried to go to the doctor's office and literally said, "Give me a white coat, a clicky pen, and a board, and let me be a doctor." And the woman said, "You need to go to medical school." And he said, "Can I go talk to a doctor?" And then she said, "You're talking to her." So Ken, in the real world, our world is really complex. We have female presidents, we have female CEOs, we have powerful women in the world, because the world isn't just blatant patriarchy. If you have a penis, you're allowed to the big boy house. No, it's complex. But in a simpler world, Ken's patriarchy does work. It does allow power. But there is another line in the movie where Ken is talking to somebody, and he says, "Let me become the boss here. I would like a job with a position where people listen to me." And the guy says, "You need an MBA or a PhD. And he says, "You're not enforcing patriarchy right." Ken says this to the guy, and the guy says, "No, we're doing it really well, but we just keep it on the low." Patriarchy is real, but the blatant kind only exists in much simpler situations.
That's kind of correct about all isms, specifically like racism and sexism. Those two big isms. Most people are woke today, so, most people don't do it blatantly, but everything kind of now in today's world goes from underground, and you still feel it under your skin. There's a lot of talk about it, a lot of awareness about it, supposedly, but you still feel it.
Overall, it's just a good, fun movie to go to. It's actually kind of even good for the kids. Would you suggest people take their kids to see it?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah, it's not like raunchy, overly sexual. There are some dirty jokes in there, but it's not like too bad.
And also, I just want to say this, like before the movie, there were commercials, and in the Barbie commercials, they had Mexican Barbie or the, black Barbie, both a guy and a girl. And also in the commercial, there were two girls and a little boy playing with a Barbie. So I was like, okay, we're doing something, a little bit something good, I guess.
And that was a Turkish commercial.
When I was little, I'd never seen a black Barbie. I've never seen a Barbie commercial with a little boy in it or anything like that, so yeah.
We were talking before the movie about your relationship with Barbie. I didn't have any relationship with Barbie at all. What was your relationship with Barbie growing up?
I was playing in first grade and second grade with my best friend, and we used to gather up all our Barbies, all of the clothes that we made for them. We used to make houses for them out of shoe boxes because they were extremely expensive. My mom wouldn't get them for me, but she would get me Barbie. So it was just a way, for me, it was just a way of being creative, making own clothes, making up stories. I guess also like discovering relationship between men and women, because we used to dress up the ugliest Barbie to be the guy Barbie. Like we would tie up the hair, put it in a bun, and put in like manly clothes, and that would be like the love interest in our childhood fantasy world. And what does a first grader knows about relationships or love or anything like that? In a way, we would kind of implement what we know from movies, from cartoons, from our parents, and kind of create our own little world. Yeah, I'm just realizing talking about it now. I didn't say this, but the beginning of the movie was also pretty cool. That might be one of my favorite scenes.
Yeah, very powerful scene. Beginning of the movie, they say dolls have always been around, but
they've always been like the baby dolls, so the girls who play with them had to be the role of the mother. When Barbie came, Barbie was like her own woman. She could have any job she wanted. She was an astronaut, she was a doctor, she was a lawyer. And our fantasy world, Barbie didn't have kids. Barbie never got married. Barbie was like that in our childhood. But she was never a mom, at least not in my like Barbie world.
Barbie, for a lot of girls, like what you said, symbolizes sort of like the ideal of like a womanhood without the burdens of motherhood or the burdens of wifedom. You know, she is a free and liberated woman in control of everything around her. Yeah, Barbie symbolized a lot, but I have to say, you know, as a black person growing up in America, Barbie is also like one of those symbols of just white supremacy on us. One of those constant images of this is what the ideal woman is. Tall, skinny, blonde, pinched waist, flat ass, no lips, blue eyes, this sort of thing. And it's like, in this movie, though there are black characters, there's never that, I feel like, there's never once that conversation about how Barbie sort of symbolizes white supremacy in that way. Because I know for a fact, none of the women that in my family had Barbies, because there was no black Barbie, like you said. Like for a long time, there wasn't a black Barbie, or they weren't that popular, or even hard to find, whatever. I always thought about it like, at least growing up, if I had kids, I would not give my girl a Barbie, because I don't want her looking at that image and her thinking that's what you have to look like, because it's not going to represent her. And it's funny because they do challenge Barbie's image in the part of the movie when she comes to life, but the issue of her race, and by the way, like you said, there are different types of Barbies, but Margot Robbie plays stereotypical Barbie. And there's a scene in the movie where they say, you know, I'm what you think of when you think of Barbie. It's me. That image is powerful, just like how Superman is the most powerful, undefeatable hero in the world. And it's this, you know, big, strong white guy who can do anything.
Very typical white guy.
Yeah, very typical waspy white guy.
Yeah.
Superman, Barbie, most of the many characters and images for me, you know, as an American, represent toxicity on the mind. And I feel like the Barbie movie couldn't cover everything, but they could have mentioned that Barbie does sort of symbolize white idealism onto other people. You get what I mean?
Yeah, of course. I don't know. Do you know Bratz?
I've heard of Bratz too. They were also the little toys as well.
So Bratz is like Barbie also, but they have like more, I feel like more black features because they have big lips. They are kind of a bit more curvy, like very stereotypical black features. Curly hair, but they're still white though.
And they're also street. I remember the Bratz, they're like street. You know?
Low cut jeans with crop tops, while Barbie has like flower dress. I loved Bratz when I was growing up, but they were so much more expensive than Barbie. And I don't know why. But like even that's like, I feel like that's, you know, a doll that has been inspired so much from like black culture and black just in general physical looks, but it's still white. It was still white.
It was still white, yeah, and that's
maybe
just
a bit more tan, but that's like, you know, a white person
Right.
having a tan, not
Right.
a black person.
Right. I think the brats were more like, you know, Hispanic and like just mixed.
Yes,
Yeah, they were
but
like,
they didn't even look Hispanic either.
they were just mixed. You know, the brats, I don't know. I didn't really play with those toys. I was like, you know, boys growing up, Power Rangers, superheroes like that. So for me, I don't know. The movie was just good. As a movie that with a decent message and entertainment, it was good. But it's hard for me to sit here and say, yo, Barbie is just a great movie when they didn't address one of the big elephants in the room. Because I'm sure Issa, come on now. Like, you could have easily said, hey, you know, it would have been funny if like the movie started and the first Barbie we saw was Issa. You know what I mean? Because that would have turned the shit on its head. But the thing is,
But we know the first Barbie was not black.
we know the first Barbie was not black, but what they did do in the movie and say that every girl is Barbie, right? If every girl is Barbie, then it could have easily been Issa. It could have easily been Fat Barbie. But no, stereotypical Barbie is blonde, blue-haired, white woman, right? And that is a powerful image. And this movie is now being spread all across the world. Margot Robbie's face is everywhere across the world of Barbie, and she's putting that image back out there into the world, which is, once again, I have to say this, just how white supremacy continues to perpetuate itself and continue to, you know, infect the minds of people all over the world. Because while people are getting the message of sexism is bad, gender discrimination is bad, they are also getting the message that when Margot Robbie says in the movie, I'm ugly, and then the director cuts in and says, we need to get somebody else to say I'm ugly, right? Or like Margot Robbie's the wrong person to say I'm ugly. And every time Barbie comes, they say, you're so pretty, Barbie. Like, that's putting images into people's minds about what is the ideal state of beauty, right? And that's why bleaching cream is being sold. And that's why, you know, blue contacts are being sold. And women are dyeing their hair all different types of colors and, you know, that sort of thing. And that's just sad. And that's why white women go to Africa and it's jumbo, jumbo, jumbo. And white men go to Asia and 30 girls are begging to suck their dicks on Tinder. I'm sorry, I'm ranting now. I'm ranting, but fuck it. I'm just saying everything that's on my mind. And this is just, you know, the Barbie movie, like every movie, basically, is pushing out white supremacist messaging.
Things that you're saying just now reminds me of like recent movies that were so controversial because they starred a black person. Little Mermaid, Cleopatra. I guess that kind of supports your idea that when they're played by like black leads,
Right.
then some people are so fired up about it. They're
Right.
like, Cleopatra wasn't black.
Right.
Little Mermaid is not black.
Cleopatra definitely wasn't Elizabeth Hurley. She wasn't super white. And, you know, there's no controversy about Barbie because Barbie is stereotypical Barbie, blonde, blue hair, white woman. What we want to see, right? Everybody's happy when we see that, right? And I think
maybe what you're saying is that, yes, in the movie, there is inclusivity of all types, like different sizes, different colors, different, like there was a Barbie in a wheelchair.
Right.
There is inclusivity, but maybe that's not enough because I guess we passed the point of inclusivity. Now we need more of some stuff, or we need to be more persistent of some stuff, just other than just having side characters that are not commonly adored.
It's a complex thing. I'm not saying that blonde hair, blue-eyed white women don't deserve to be on screen or they should not be Barbies or whatever. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying this is just gonna be one of the biggest movies this year. It's gonna have a big cultural impact. And while it is sending a positive message, I believe it's also reinforcing some of those things that are negative in our world today. But overall, it's an alright movie. It's good. Go watch it if you wanna. That's all I have to say.
Nice. Me too.
All right.
I don't regret watching it. I enjoyed it. It was nice.
Thanks for watching our review. Peace.